is Abena Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony Sien, and plus and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our program on point, always hosted by no one else but the man Jerome Gilman, unrelenting, unbending, who drinks from a Sacramorian cup. He is a sedition, but it is year in review here. I focus on Liberia on this program on point, and so we want to welcome all our viewers across the globe, and we are asking you to do us one favor to be part of the discussion. If you have popcorn, grab your popcorn. Don't drink from a Sacramorian cup like my friend Jerome Gidman. We are here to review all the major happenings of 2024 under the watch of our new government of Joseph Yoman Boakai. Seated and ready to participate in the year in review is Mr. Jimmy Eastman, who joins us from the nation's capital. Jimmy, it's good to have you. How you doing?
Well, it's been quite a year. I can say this one is almost in the books, but we should have an interesting discussion today with these intelligent gentlemen I'm joined here with.
All right. Also seated is Mr. Jerome Gedman, host of Focus on Liberia opinionated show On Point. It's good to have you. What is the name of your name of your state again? Sunshine State?
It is the Sunshine State. And it is a great thing to sit on the opposite side of the majority block. So my glove is off. We are going to go back to the genesis of this year, and we'll be up to date. But it's going to be fierce. They call it no holds bar. So if you have thin skin, this is not a place to be today. Thank you very much for having me, Mr. C.
It's good to have you. J. Victor Namwe, a progressive, a veteran, is focused on Liberia political analyst. It's good to have you, Mr. Namwe. How you doing? Happy holidays, brother.
Happy holidays. It's great to be here. What's up, team? It's good to be with you. Great year it has been. My Eagles are soaring right now. Can't be any happier than this. But listen, you just said we're almost saying goodbye to this year, and I'm just reading here. President Carter has left us. Just a few more days to turn the page. Yeah, so if you're here at this hour, you should be grateful. It's a blessing.
Yeah, our condolences to the Carter family. He served the United States. You know, well, that is life. Mr. Ducle is joining us always from Canada. It's good to have you. Happy holidays. This is Year in Review. Mr. Ducle? He might not be hearing us. Let me get to Dr. Fidel Bodie. Fidel joining us from the UK. How you doing?
No, it's always great to be here, especially when Mr. Tao is in the building. So I'm excited for another positive show. I was worried that he wasn't coming, and I was getting disappointed. But now, nice to welcome back my brother who has been in hiatus, Elvis Morris as well. So no, great to be here.
All right, I got to Joe Satao. Joe, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing very good. I'm glad to be here. Hi to our viewers. And just like Mr. Jerome Gibman said, that if you have thin skin, this is not a place to be because this is a year in review. If you are a progressive or a EULA person, if you are a native or native sympathizer or you're Congo sympathizer, we're going to take the glove off of everything today here because it's all about Liberia.
I want to know, Mr. Towers, that kind of where does you like fall? Because you talk about native Congo and then you like in between there. So
I fall in Liberia. I fall in Liberia's interest.
Okay.
All right. Evan Morris is the young energy here. He joins us from the great state of Minnesota. How you doing? How's the weather here in Minnesota?
I don't know if you look outside, but it's really foggy right now. I don't know what's going on outside right now. But yeah, it's scary. Looking scary. Like the genetic won't come outside the afternoon, so I don't know what's going on there. But look, I won't even say I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be back amongst you guys, but I was planning my return in the new year to at least give myself the illusion of a new start, for the new year. So, but the new year almost coming, so I said, I'll just come a Sunday early. But look, I'm still deeply disappointed. I'm still deeply disillusioned by what's going on in our country. But for the sake of the new year coming and having some hope and optimism, let me come and put my foot back in the political scene. Hopefully we'll have a better year than we had last year. I'm looking forward to the show then. Thank you guys again for welcoming me back.
Thanks for joining us. Mr. Ducle, can you hear us? Mr. Ducle, it seems to be you're not hearing us. Yeah, he's not hearing us. I'm going to remove him from stage.
Ducle is a spy.
Yeah, he's not hearing us.
Let me see.
All right. Let me remove him. Probably when he comes by, that issue might be resolved. And so, folks in cyberspace, you heard it from the panelists here. Yeah, in review, they are all set. All the majors happening, all the things that happened this year. We're going to review them all, and that is the business we are going to handle tonight. This afternoon, I should say, for those who are in the night tonight, I will say as well. Let's see. Mr. Ducle made adjustment there. We couldn't hear you. I mean, probably you could not hear us. That's the right way. You could not hear us. So made an adjustment so that we can bring you on. Can you hear us now? Mr. Ducle, hello? Yeah, he still not hearing us, which is unfortunate. Mr. Ducle, can you hear us?
So if somebody has his number, can they text?
Yeah, I don't have his number. Dennis, if you're paying attention to us here, can you call Mr. Ducle if possible, and work with him. We got to get this show started. So, gentlemen, let's get to it. Before we go through the list of things that happened this year on the Unity Party's watch, we have somebody joining us. That is the man, Anthony Gay. May adjustment. I want to see your six pack, man. We don't want to see your ANC people, you're always in the gym. Then you don't want to show us your six pack. Yeah. So, Mr. Gay, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How you guys doing?
We are doing well. We are doing well. It's good to have you. Are you ready for the year in review?
Most definitely.
All right. Talking about that, let's get started, gentlemen. Let's go into it. Fidel, let's start with you. What was your impression, or what was your expectation of the new administration? And have they met your expectation? Has your expectation changed because probably they're not performing to what you were expecting? What is your entire overall impression of the new government so far?
Well, I'm going to start quickly with just 20 seconds to say my expectation of this panel when I joined was that it was going to be very intellectual, challenging. And like Mr. Gaiman pointed out, if you had your skin wasn't thick, then like Mr. Morris, you would go off for a few months to hide.
Wow.
Or like Valley, whatever his name is, will disappear from the scene. But it has been great, and I want to thank you guys for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this every Sunday when I'm available. Look, Mr. Sear, my expectation when I spoke to Liberians here in the UK, especially those who were supporting then former Vice President Boakai, was that he was going to be a failure, right? I expected him to come in and do exactly what he's doing. I had no expectation that he was going to do any better than what he's doing, because the optics and what I was hearing was these guys were banned on coming in and looting our country under this banner, our time. And I'm not surprised. I've not been disappointed by their corrupt attitude. I wasn't surprised by what the president said in Lofa County the other day, that the executive mansion have tried to clean up and have failed to do, because English is very simple, right? We all went to school in Liberia, and I'm sure we all learned this in English. You're who's stealing money, your staff stealing it. It's easy to say, right? To say, oh, I encourage you when you're stealing money, you must spend it. You can't clean that up, right? So no, I'm not surprised. I expected this, and it's disappointing, unfortunately, because sometimes you know what to expect from people, but you hope that they will prove you wrong, right? And unfortunately, this president and this bunch of criminals have not been able to do that.
Thank you. Jimin, what was your impression? Did you anticipate a better government from that we have from Josh Weah with the Unity Party government coming in, and how do you feel now?
I honestly felt that because I know Lofa, I went to school, I went to LU, and those guys dominated, the guys and girls, they dominated academia at the time. They were all very, very serious students. So I knew we had a lot of talented people from that region. I expected him to employ more people from that region. Many are just given to, cultural affinity. Some call it tribalism, but I can understand why you want to trust things that you know. I understand that. So I expected a lot of expertise because these guys are well informed. But to my surprise, I don't see that going on. I don't see that level of competence that I expected. So it's disappointing. But I know many will argue with me, but I'm saying, well, maybe this is the first year. Of course, he said he had 42 years of experience, but nothing really prepares you to be president. And it's just one of those things you have to learn quickly on a job. So I'm a bit disappointed. I'm also disappointed that I see the laws in the land not being respected when you see Supreme Court decisions.
And Jimmy will get into the details. I just wanted to see, what the expectations you had and how do
Yeah.
you feel now. That's what I wanted to get. So let's keep it on a 1 minute for this first segment as the introductory. Jerome, uh, what was your expectation? And has the new government met your expectation?
Yes, actually, they have surpassed my expectation. I knew from day one that those who are into administration, Mr. CA, and either one of you here, if you are going to look for a job and you go to your immediate boss and say, I'm applying for a job, I need your blessing, and your boss tells you, no, I cannot recommend you, that tells me that is a vote of no confidence. The president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that had known this man since CWA days, decided that he was not worthy of being in the leadership, and she decided that she was going, like he himself said, she parked me. I was a parked car. Joseph Weicker should have remained parked. So yes, he has surpassed my expectation. I know he was going to be corrupt. He has done that. I know he was inept. He has done that. I know he was tribalistic. He has done that. I know he was met of vengeance. He had done all of those things. So he has met my expectation.
Jim Victor Namwe, I know when the administration started, though you supported another candidate, but you were like, look, let's give the gentleman a chance. Maybe he will come to this route, given that he may not have the appetite for a second time. Having seen him governing our country to a year now, do you still feel the same way?
I don't feel encouraged. I don't feel encouraged to still feel like they're gonna get it right. I mean, how many trials do you need to get it right? Let me remind Jimmy quickly. Theory and rote memorization and is different from competence and practice. And so the fact that I went to school with a lot of my colleagues too. You can eat a book, but if you cannot translate a book into practice, then it just is a waste. But let me digress a little bit. Let me disagree with Dr. Buddy. Look, I did not support this president during the elections, but I expected that he would do far better than he's doing. Why? Because he's an elderly statesman, right? Chronologically, he's an elder. He has seen everything. I didn't think he would have this kind of appetite for private jets and traveling all over the place. I didn't see that coming. He has been in government for 100,000 years, as everyone said. I expect that he knows what works and what doesn't work. I didn't expect him to come in here and start scrambling and trying this and trying that and removing people extrajudicial. I didn't expect any of this. But I expected him to come in government with a steady hand, sober, and ready to do the people's work. What I'm seeing is far from that.
Joe, what were your expectations with our new administration? And have you been surprised or have your expectations been met so far?
Okay. First, I welcome back Mr. Morris. He really cared about Liberia, just like many of us here. The frustration is what made him to leave. And even when he left, he couldn't stay away. He kept calling in. That's how much he cared about Liberia, and I know that. So welcome.
Don't forget, Mr. Morris is in the diaspora.
Yeah, he's in the diaspora.
He's part of the diaspora family.
But look, it's 1 year, exactly 1 year ago. That's when I joined this Focus on Africa. I said here that the government was going to do worse than the real government. It's not because I'm a soothsayer or I'm a sin cutter. It's because I know how the governing systems across Africa is their structure, and especially Liberia. The problem that we have is not about whether somebody being in power for 100 years or 10 years or so. Nobody really cares. The commitment to those countries, the way it's structured when you enter this government, the people that are committed that can actually do the job don't make it there because of corrupt system. You have to corrupt yourself to get in there. So once you get in there, you lose that ethics and that value and that moral high ground that you're supposed to have as an African person with an African conscious mindset. It goes away. So I knew they were going to be corrupt. I said it here. Mr. Gaiman was the one I invited me. Mr. Ismail here. So no, everything they're doing, like when you say corruption, if you're not committed to something, you're going to abuse it. If a man is not ready and committed to be married, he will abuse the marriage. If a man is not ready and prepared to be wealthy, he will abuse the wealth. So it's the same thing. So I'm not surprised. Everything they're doing, I knew it would happen. And it doesn't matter, people that hear that say ANC. Kumi is an indebted man. For almost 18 years, he's indebted to people that are supporting him. He come there, he's probably going to do worse than what these guys are doing. So no, I'm not surprised.
I don't think the ANC nationalists, my friend Anthony Gay, will agree with you. But Mr. Gay, what were your expectations, at least, that this man, our new president, Mr. Bouaka, having had a wealth of experience in government, what were your expectations? And has he met your expectation, or has he actually violated your expectations so far?
So, Mr. Sia, it was on the very same network on your own program, the hour of politics, that when I said that then Kennedy Bouakai doesn't have a fresh idea for Liberia. But what really surprised me the most, in all fairness, was his negligence towards the rule of law. I didn't see that coming. We have all known this man for a very long period of time. He was never the caliber of a person who was a violator of the rule of law. We may all have our criticism against him or whatsoever, but for him to be as blatant, as crystal as he is right now about the rule of law, the complete disregard for the rule of law, it is just something that really surprised me. And for me, it is the foundation of everything that Liberia is seeking right now. If we are to be serious about moving our nation forward, the adherence to the rule of law has to be paramount. No functioning society can function without the rule of law. Not even politics can survive. And what happened today, it is the result of lawlessness, where individual felt, that taking somebody to the police station would not do justice, but they stone that person to death. These kind of things is very scary. Even some were claiming that, he still have life, he's still moving, he's still breathing, but the people went ahead and stood by and allowed that young man to take his life breath. A country without rule of law is dangerous. And to me, that was the part that really came shocking to me. I never expected more of this administration, but for them to retrogress in this form and manner, it is concerning.
Thank you. Mr. Evan Morris, you're one of those, though you supported or have been supporting President Weah, but you said, look, we should give Mr. Bouaka the time. This is an elder who's been around. He will not be greeted. At least he will bring some sense to governance. Do you still hold those views? And what are some of the things that actually shock you and surprise you with the new administration, if there are?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sia. Look, attribute that to my political naivety, I was naive. But the first year has been disappointing, of course it has been. And to a surprise, to a slight surprise even to myself, desperation any kind is not a good thing. If a man is, romantically desperate, he will attach himself to even the very worst person romantically for himself. And in this case, we saw a man who was politically desperate. I would liken this to a man who was desperately hungry. Even the smallest bit, right? He was stacking, he would not even know how to, drink water.
Evans, it seems to be your Bluetooth is not charging now, so the audio is not good. Yeah,
But
deactivate it. I think
effect.
you'll be fine. Yeah, remove
Go
it.
ahead.
I think you'll be
I
fine.
mean,
Go ahead. Mhm. Uh,
you hear me now?
Okay,
No, even worse.
yeah, go again.
Cut
Are
it
you
off.
hearing me?
Cut the
Yes,
Bluetooth
it's
off.
better now. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, like I was saying, I would make an analogy to a person who is hungry. You
Mhm.
know, if you give them a little bit of food, all sense of decorum of that person goes away because they're desperately hungry. And I think this is what's happening in the government right now. These guys came to power politically desperate, trying to
Everything.
gobble up
Can
everything
can
that they
you
can
go
get
out
their
and
hands
come back in?
Yeah, you do
Elvis,
the exit and come back.
exit and come back. It's still
on.
breaking up.
Yeah, it's still breaking up. Well, gentlemen, with that, let's get to the main things that happened during this year on a review on this new Unity Party government, spearheaded by our president, Mr. Joseph Yemambuakai. I will do a review of the list and then we will go into them. So let's start with the first segment, the formation of the government. You know, this time we're talking about appointment, trying to find competent talents and individuals, and also talking about the process of breaking those individuals to the government, you know, talking about, you know, the time they took to form the government, whether they were thorough in doing background checks of these individuals, ensuring that they pick the rightful people and put them in the rightful places. Jimmy, you start with that. How do you look at the formation of the government, the kind of government we have, the caliber of people we have? Was the government thorough? Did it do a better job in terms of forming this government compared to the previous government?
I think only one position I can see that a competent person was appointed. And when I mean competent, somebody who's able to move the needle, not just like Nangbe pointed out, just having a piece of paper and not being capable of performing are two different things. But at Water and Sewer, Mo Ali seems to be the only one who is approaching the project with professional decisions and methods. So we already see a difference in that. But there are other positions we haven't noticed any big difference yet. But like I must measure how much because it is early. But by next year, if we don't see things are moving, then we will have much of the same for the next 6 years. We do have capable of Liberians, but I see there was a lot of political appreciation being shared around. In other words, those who supported the rescue mission were rewarded. Now, I understand that is important in politics, but it's not as important if you want to move the country in a direction. So I expect to see changes in the near future. That's why I'll leave it right there.
Jim Victor, you know, you've seen government in the past, from Dole, you know, to Taylor and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, you know, having the right lieutenants in the right places who are competent, you know, to move the needle. You know, the government success depends on it. If you compare and contrast Dave Boaka government with CDC, what would you say in terms of competence and people being in the right places?
Yeah, I'll have to agree with Jimmy here. If you look across the spectrum, I mean, if they were competent, they would be producing. I can't point to more than two or three people who I would say, you know, are putting out and meeting up with expectation or exceeding expectation. You know, like I said, I expected this government to exceed expectation because of the experience that this president brings in government. He would know by now. I had expected that by November, whatever it is, the president would have had a list of competent, tested individuals ready to go. But that's not what I saw. The rollout was everything but that. They bungled the rollout. It took him forever to begin announcing his government. Even then, they were announcing 2-3 names to one position, and then all of the extrajudicial, tenure and not tenure people. Now, more than that, there are people in this government who are visibly, obviously incompetent, are not producing results, and the president stuck with them. I mean, we can talk about LTA, we can talk about LEC, all the complaints against LEC with all the blackouts, whatever it is. Look, I don't understand. I don't know, Mr. Captain, but if you're not meeting expectation, then it means you're failing. I don't think he was meeting expectation relative to what was expected in terms of producing current. We owe the region, I think it's called CLSA or whatever it is, the regional power distribution. We owe them money, and yet we're not seeing the work of what we're spending. But he stayed on until his tenure expired. So I have to agree with Jimmy. I honestly I expected that we'll be seeing top notch performance from this government, but we are even struggling. This government is struggling to perform at WIA's level. In all sincerity, with all of the experience and all of the I expected way more than this. The president got up and he's making all these overly ambitious pronouncements. Again, he's being in government. He knows the process, what it takes to pass a voucher from the Ministry of Finance to put the cash in the hands of the contractor. Yet he sat down there, he said within 90 days, all roads in this country, all possible roads will be possible. No car will be stuck in the mud. I mean, we're what, 11 months in, and there's nothing. How could he have made that kind of statement? That is the statement that a rookie, an inexperienced person will make. So then the question is he being advised properly? Is he the kind of person who is advisable, or is he the kind of person who feels that he knows it all? He doesn't take advice. I don't know him personally, but if you add up all of what is happening, it amounts to incompetence. They're not delivering. They're falling below expectation almost on all levels. And we're 1 year in.
1 year in. Mr. Gay, I know the experience of Mr. Bwaka has been emphasized here, but let us also remember Unity Party is an experienced political party that ran government for 12 years. So we're not only talking about the head of the government, we're talking about the party that ran government for 12 years. So they should bring incompetent people and know where to pour people. Is that what you see? And then I also want you to tell me, where are the bright spots? If any, maybe few competent people that are at least moving the needle and bringing transformation to their areas of assignment, please.
So let me do justice to what Mr. Tawo said earlier. I didn't get a chance to respond to him. I'll respond while I'm responding to the question you asked me. Mm-hmm. So not because so many people have failed, so we can just assume that Mr. Cummings will fail. I mean, that is just disingenuous, right? He had never been given power before. He had never been tested with the national leadership before. We cannot just assume because other people fail, so he will fail. That is just not fair. So now, the Unity Party right now is the oldest political party in Liberia, apart from the Chewy Party. The Chewy Party right now is dead and gone. But the UP, since 1985, came into being. They are the oldest political party. They have the opportunity to run the country for 12 years. So yeah, Mr. Sear, somewhere, somehow, people have some kind of, optimism that it's not going to be as bad as Josh Weah administration was, but they weren't also expecting too much, good things to happen, but at least keep the country steady. But unfortunately, Josh Weah performed better, 10 times better in his first year compared to this administration. Unfortunately, Josh Weah had a national policy for the country. Josh Weah had a free tuition. Josh Weah had what's the name? Harmonization. Josh Weah also had what's the name? Passed the freedom of Speech Act. right, to decriminalize free speech in Liberia. I mean, in 1 year period, with all of the negative aspect I care about, $16 billion, all of the different things, he also had positive things going for the administration. Listen, this man told the Liberian people nobody was qualified, competent enough to run this nation other than him. But where I really started getting, disappointed in this administration was the time it took to formulate the government and the people they were appointing in the wrong position. For example, Councillor Kofi Woods is not a national security expert. Why is he a national security advisor? He is a lawyer. Why can't he be the personal legal advisor? I mean, you have an individual like Patrick Hunter, a commissioner of LTA. He has zero understanding of telecommunication. How can you have him over there? Some will argue that it's an administrative position. Okay, administrative position that you're supposed to have some kind of idea in that industry, right? I mean, you have individuals in areas that they don't have expertise. Kudos to your Josiah Joker and Mo Ali. These are individuals who actually trying to put things into place for that area of discipline. But many of the other people, look at what happened with the foreign minister. They brought in $25 million scam as a scholarship for the nation for 250 students instead of 15 to 20,000 students. We're talking about 250 students at the price tag of $25 million United States dollars. That arithmetic does not add up. How can 25 million USD be focused on only 250 students? And when they did not, vet that prosecute and launch it to the public, I was like, no, something wrong with this administration. But another thing, there is a huge lack of leadership from the president himself. I don't think he's in control. I don't think he's in charge. I doubt it because of this kind of statement that come from the executive mansion, the decision that have been made on a lot of major issues like the yellow machine, we'll just bring the machine and Double Jala will figure out a way to generate the money. Or it was gentleman agreement. Those kind of things. I mean, we have laws in place for, logistic acquisition for the country and all the different things, the PPCC, act, all of the different things. You cannot put the horse before the cart. The cart before the horse, I mean. And that's what they did. And they continue to do the same thing over and over and again. We saw a gentleman from Ghana give the police a 20 vehicle, gave 2 generators to the airport. I mean, the president receiving gift. The code of conduct 9.1 talk about you cannot receive any gift more than 250 United States dollars. How can the president be receiving gifts in this kind of form and manner? I mean, we gotta be serious here. I wanna conclude right here.
You are muted, Mr. C.
Yeah, Evans. Let's see if the sound
All right,
issues.
let me try my mic again. Hopefully it's better.
Go ahead.
All right. Sorry. Like I was saying, I'm disappointed in the first year. I consider it to be a wasted year. I think the guys came in desperate and they're simply trying to gobble as much power as they can gobble up in the shortest amount of time possible. So what we saw was a continuous stumble of a year. They kept stumping their toes as we were staying in Liberia continuously. Every month there was another fumble. Every month there was another stumble, politically speaking. So for me, I'm disappointed. And that's why I took the hiatus because, look, this is America. Who was in the throes of a political season in this country. A lot of us, was trying, it was like double focus. And looking back home and we see the nonsense that's going on back home, we have our own lives here to, here to lead. We know things are not the easiest, with the economy, all of those things. So, I mean, it's stressful. That's why I applaud these guys who continue to be on the show and to spend their 2 hours weekly. I applaud you guys for keeping the steady faith and commitment to the platform. But for me, as a young man, I needed a break because I'm a fire burn kind of person. If I can't give it my all, I'm not going to do it at all. And when I come here, that energy just wasn't there. That interest just wasn't there because it's like I don't want to get mad every week, week in, week out. And with the nonsense that's going on, it's not a healthy thing. So for me, I told myself, let's hope that the next year will be more hopeful, like Mr. Eastman said. He got 5 more years. And regardless of where we are on the political spectrum, we can come here and show a little political gamesmanship and and debate. But deep down, we want any president that's in there to do well. So when this president is not doing well, for me, it's not a time to be joyful or to rejoice. Is a solemn, moment for us to reflect and see that even though my man is not there or my preferred candidate is not there, our country is almost, people like to use that word, it's retrogressing. I mean, look at prices in terms of where it was prior to the elections, not even while George Weah was in office, but just prior to the elections. Prices has gone up. The quality of life in that country has gone down. People can't afford basic things. Christmas, many people say it was the worst Christmas in recent memory. What's really going on? What's really going on in the country? Is it George Weah? Did he damage the country so bad that it's irreparable at this in this moment in our history? I don't think so. I think it was poor leadership, and the focus was on something else. It was on the accumulation of wealth in the quickest amount of time possible, rather than trying to govern to the best of their abilities. And that's what was so disappointing for me in the first year.
And Dr. Bodie, as you are aware, maybe not, but I'm just from Liberia. I have friends who are in the government just like all of us do. And so I asked the question, gentlemen, what is the main challenge that you are facing here? And they said to me, see, the guys before us, there's so much damage and the mess is huge. And that is the mess. I mean, we made everything out of order 100%. Not a single thing was in place or in order. And so these are the things that we are putting in order before we can actually try to forge ahead. So do you agree with the assessment? And is the matter as the poll, accurately that severe for which maybe many people are feeling that, I don't think they have what it takes at this time? What's your read of that?
Well, first of all, I've missed you very much, Mr. Morris, because I can P4 on you all the time. And I think, like Mr. Gaiman said, your headphone ain't got thick skin. That's why we're playing up like that, No, but I think, look, if we're being serious for a moment, right, we need to call a spade, right? I said last week on the show that President Joseph Boakai is the first president to come to office with the most experience. Nobody before him has had over 40 years of experience in government, including being vice president. Toba was vice president for a few years, but he reached 40 years of governmental experience in total. I know Toba was probably longer in his role as vice president. But when you look at all of the years across various sectors that this man has worked, he came to power with the most experience. Last week, I also apologized to President Shirley because I said, the things she was telling her in 2017, I understand what she was trying to say when she said it, Papi Mondi, right? Look, this is what I believe. Your friends in government are telling you what they're telling you because maybe they think you're naive enough to listen and believe that nonsense, right? At least when George Weah came to power, I was a huge critic of President Weah. Up until I went to Liberia in 2024, January, and saw some things, and I thought, okay, maybe I was too harsh on this guy. At least he tried. At least he tried to reduce ministers of government salaries. At least he tried. Whether it succeeded or not, at least he tried. You cannot tell me what I've heard. You've got government officials taking $3,500 a month for generator money, right? You can't tell me the president doesn't understand that with removing those kind of waste as what some of us will call easy wins, right? Those are the easy win things. All right, look, happy we got LEC here. We need to be giving you 3,500 current goal. That current goal order up. We'll take that 3,500 each and reinvest that into the health sector. That's an easy win. Nobody need to tell you how to do that. So the things they're telling you, and to Mr. Eastman points, oh, but we got Mo Ali, and then we got the other. Look, we all been to school. When they get you test, you sort of score 70 to pass. You score 30, and I said, but at least you score 30, man. You know, yeah, you did. You score 30. So no, you fail, right? You fail. That 30 that's passing grade. You need to hit 70 to pass. So we shouldn't be praising them for 1 or 2 when you got hundreds of individuals stealing from our people, disparaging our country with impunity. You have, and we were joking about this from the start, a president going on official duties and taking an illegal speaker as the recognized speaker of our country. That sends the wrong, and I don't believe this president is stupid. I don't believe he's too old. I believe he knows exactly what he's doing. There's a reason why I was reading something before coming online today saying that, oh, he lives on loan from IB Bank. Henry Samoa, a countryman. So he taking and pulling to central bank. So he running central bank while stay CEO at IB Bank, right? He's the acting governor of the Central Bank of Liberia, whilst still the CEO of IB Bank. You tell me, Mr. CA, in our little understanding, how does that make sense to you? Are you telling me that all of the deputy governors in the bank, none of them were competent enough to be elevated to acting governor? That you had to take the CEO of a private bank, and he didn't resign that position, but he continues to work in his private bank. And will he not be putting in place policies that will favor his institution? Right? So the guy, you know, when I say call a spade, this man knows exactly what he's doing. These guys were in opposition for years. They were hopeful that President Weah would have given them jobs. He didn't. And they were broke, most of them, because they were out of government. The only way they know how to make money is from government jobs. Now they've come back. This first year, they've filled some of that back. And I can guarantee you, for the next 5 years, we wouldn't see anything different. We'll see continued waste, 22 million wasted on roads that are still worse than they were when we spent. How can you spend $22 million on roads and then they become worse? How does that make sense to you? If Mr. Gaiman do that kind of thing, even though he got his own company, the employees don't take the company for him. He said, Mr. Gaiman, how you can run company? Right? So look, Mr. Morris, we thought we here. We going on hiatus. You know, whatever we like it, we kind of complain. When we finish complaining, before I go to bed in there, I drink cold water, boom, cool my temper down there, I go rest.
Mr. Tao, I know your colleagues have mentioned about the formation of the government, you know, the caliber of people the president, you know, has appointed and all that. Let us transition a little bit, and you can comment on that if you so wish. Let's transition to development initiatives, projects, and programs. Let me just mention a few here. The $22 million for Operation No More Stock in the No Car Stock in the Mall, I think for 190 days. And then right now, when I was in Monrovia, I saw that the road from Vartan to St. Paul Bridge, they started some work on that. And we heard about the $25 million scholarship, and some people are now calling it scholarship scam, that it was a scam that was brought to the country. They had the president to launch that thing. The foreign minister was the chief architect of this thing, and it was a scam, but she still have her job. And then the yellow machines project, also I know it was a project at some point. I think the government said it was a gentleman agreement. It was 250 yellow machines. We don't know where the machines are, whether they are still on the road or not, or they were ever put on the road. So many initiatives. And then another things that we can talk about as initiated by the government. They have, I think it's a 90 million solar farm that they are working on, and HPX, you know, all kinds of agreements they try to negotiate up. What is your impression about these initiatives by the government? Not forgetting the RIA road project. I traveled on that road when I was there in May, and I went back this October. It's like practically the same place I left it. What is your read of this project? The government is making some strides here, right?
So first, let me just connect something real quick to the alleged developmental stuff that are going on, right? Mm-hmm. We have to understand the way in which the governments are structured and the way in which people come to power. Mm-hmm. We keep missing this. You have a system that is a business. The democratic system, the governance system you have is a business. They're investors that invest in these things. People fund representatives. People fund presidential campaigns. People fund these guys. Countries, individuals, groups. Because I'm coming to the point, because the state thing is that we have competent people in these positions. It is almost impossible. The people that you see coming in those positions are not, most of the time, they're not even chosen by the president. They're chosen by people that are funding this campaign for this government to come to power. Some of them are direct or beneficial. They fund in their own stuff. So this is why it's very difficult in this kind of instance for you to see sometimes the right people coming to power or being put in these positions. So and I keep saying here, can we look at this form of governing system that we have? Can we look at how the elections are run? Can we review these things to at least see where things are going wrong? When I say it, almost everybody, oh no, it's democracy working. No, it's not working. So, and then the next one here on this before our transition is this. You can hire the most competent people in any position. You have to have an entire plan. Okay, you hire this guy. What is his name? The guy that was in the drug area, the fighting guy and these guys. You hire them no matter how professional they are. Where is the drug policy? Why do we have drug issue among the youth? Is it that because they just don't want to do anything? Is it economics? Is it that there is no way for them to be trained, for them to be made useful? So the drug policy then have to be a part and parcel of that. But you don't have that. No, if you hire him, then what is he going to do? Run around in Newtown, all the places, and Basel community chasing just the little boys? No, the drugs that are coming to the country are organized. Once they see that the area is porous, it's coming in by big people and big organizations, and it's brought in. So these are some of the stuff. So these are the problems. So like my brother Anthony Gay said, if the president does not have an actual plan, then it's not possible. And yes,
well, Mr. Tower, if I may, though, that the example you're giving about the LDEA, right? So the president appointed somebody. Why couldn't that person come up with a plan to say, thank you for appointing me, but to achieve success on the fight against drugs?
Okay,
this is my plan. You know, because this is from the top. You have suppliers who are selling these things here, so we got to cut the supply line. We got to police this the source where it's coming from. You understand? Can you do that? Because to just say, well, you don't have a plan, so it won't work. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, okay. So look at what it's a two-sided thing, right? The first part here is this: if I run many other institutions, I hire people that are competent, but I already have a blueprint on laying out what I expect from them, and this is what I have. This is how things run. This is how I want it to work. Then that person looking at it, and in that particular stuff, they can make some adjustment, they can make suggestions. But if I just throw them there, guess what? They will damage my organization probably in no time, because I have the vision. That is why I'm the head. And then I create the framework in which they should function in the direction that I want my organization to go. So,
but most of the institutions are created by an act of national legislature, and the acts basically will spell out the roles and functions of those agencies, let alone the heads of those agencies as well.
That is true. That is true. But that area is not detailed. It is actually ambiguous now, because it did that just like the law, so that then it allow you the space for it to now create it in a way where it actually run. Okay, so the president can do that, but if poverty is one of them, for which, okay, so you go ahead, you arrest people, it's still going to come because the youth are idle. They're not doing anything. So how do you tackle that? So it's all of this stuff, but this is a national stuff, right? I'm not saying it's supposed to be only with this president by himself, but since we don't have this kind of 5-year, 10-year, 20 years plan that have continuity where one person come and they continue, it's all president by president, one person can dismantle it. So that is why I'm saying that. But look, yes, George Weah then ran that country into the ground. But that is not the reason why that's part of the reason. And the reason George Weah, his failure also was as a result of the foundation that Ellen set. If you actually go back for people to be apologizing to Ellen here, Ellen straight jacket that country to where in 2006, 7, 8, 9, all of the 11, I was screaming out that this lady strangulating this country, that anybody else that come after her, you know that when George Weah then took over, the country was completely bankrupt. All money-making areas were privatized. The major areas like the port, LEC, those places are privatized. What they did was after they went ahead and privatized it, then the government also attached itself in that area and only charging revenue. So if you see somebody that is the director of the port, they really don't have any, they don't have any room. All they do, they just charge you money. That is it. That is why the port is expensive. The Mo Ali that you're talking about, not Mo Ali, but this guy that was at LEC. That is why he couldn't do anything, because that area is actually quasi privatized with some Canadian company, all this stuff. So if these people want to build power stuff, let them create one for themselves. They shouldn't come and take over the national grid. Don't improve it, just suck money out. But these are the things that Ellen did. So when opponent came to power, there was nothing. And then when they came, they made themselves rich and they left it. But what happened when Bouaka came? Okay, if the place is bad, all the corruption that he is committing at every level, you see, then you can't just blame that, oh, George, we have messed it up. So that is why we are stealing like this 22 million. We're going to pocket it. This one will pocket this one. We'll go send Grace Bay all the money. So everybody following the same thing. But let's go to the development. The developments and stuff and all of those things is always going to be superficial, Mr. C. We should understand something here. If you watch the World Bank, IMF, they always have a development agenda goal for Africa, and let's just say Liberia. The reason they go to that is because any development without industrialization, without an industrial base, is a fallacy. It's made up. You have to have an industrial base that support and sustain the development. That is why you were here. How come Honor Ellen was doing okay? Then the moment she left, then everything collapsed. Because it was not built on anything. It was superficial. There was no real, you have to develop the industrial base to then sustain that development. And it is in an industrial area that you're able to train the population, train the young men, and then you put them to work. So like the scholarship, so we discuss it here. 25 million, I come from the technical background, 25 million. And I work and we wrote grants and stuff like that, can set up technical areas in Liberia. And they can actually train a huge portion of that population at home. You can take few people, send them so that they become experts, while you have people that can come from outside that are helping. And then when they come in, they kind of get into that system. So the whole thing, what you saw with all the yellow machine, the 25 million, all these things, my brother, most of them, they are paying canteen debt. The solar farm is a scam. The reason that it's a scam, let me wrap up on this. The whole power stuff, the rehabilitation of the hydro, it was a scam. You know how much you spent over there? Honor Christopher nailed them $1 billion at LEC, at that hydro. Are you telling me that it's $1 billion investment right there? But that is a direct World Bank investment. Look at all the World Bank investment. They're all failures because it is never intended for it to succeed. Then when they fail and they put Liberia into debt on the LEC rehabilitation, they started doing the power sharing, which is another scam. I don't know if we read the document. Let's look at it. You know what they put in there? You owe a minimum that you have to pay to the French or European company that own a power stuff in Ivory Coast, whether you use that power or not. So they only run the line. That is not what the problem is. You have to build the substation, the distribution. They say that's the government is the one that's responsible. So whether you use that power or not, you owe money. After that one failed and you are not indebted, where you can't develop your own power grid because now you have to pay 20 million more.
Yeah, but Mr. Tao, you're not giving information yet.
Okay.
You are not giving correct information
then they came
yet.
with a solar farm, 100 million. That solar farm. Solar is not effective. It is not dependable. 100 million. They could take that and break it up into at least maybe 3. They can build 3 mini hydros. There is something that one of my friends did his PhD in called distributed generation. That other African countries in Asia started doing it and it worked well. You reduce the size of the project that you can fund as a country, and then you build it to the source of close to the source where it needs to be.
Mr. Tao, we will reach out to you to talk about the
Yeah,
energy thing a little bit. You seem to have much interest there. Mr. Namwe, let me come to you. Let's focus on these projects. You know, our UP friends, you know, they are blowing the trumpet, you know, how they are about development. I'm sure you remember your friend, you know, send Wallo little list, you know, he can post it like 1 million times a day. Yeah, focus on Liberia. And they really believe that they got this thing down, you know, with the developmental projects, you know, roads, we're talking about energy sector and so on and so forth, you know, concessions agreements. Sven Waller is even talking about $8 billion concession in the future. These are all promises for the most part. What's your take? I mean, these are impressive initiatives by the government, isn't it?
Talking to me?
I'm talking to Jet Victor Namwe.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that. Yeah, I wish you know, Mr. Wallo would take time to analyze some of these things he's copy and pasting here, because I don't think he's paying much attention to it. He just keep reposting it. If he looks real critically at what he's posting here, then he will tell himself, you know, whether any of those things really has been achieved. I have to agree with Mr. Tower. You know, as the president, you have to have an agenda, right? You have to have, you know, targets that you want to meet. There is a reason why you ran for office, you know, and so you bring people on board to help you drive that agenda, and you're singularly focused on that agenda. I believe this president's agenda is the arrest, you know. What is in the budget for agriculture? That's part of the arrest agenda. You know, what is in there for education? That's part of the arrest agenda. You know, and who are the people who are driving, you know, these planks in the agenda for this president? It looks like most of the people in there are doing their own thing, and the president is incapable of reining these people in. Again, I bring back to your LTA. This president cannot tell me what is happening at the Liberia Telecommunication Authority is okay to him. And why has he been unable or unwilling to do anything about it? The LTA is for the Liberian people. It doesn't belong to him. He can just sit there and decide, okay, once I'm okay with it, it is okay. No, it is not okay. It is not okay. And there are several other things that are happening under this president that are not okay. They're not. He's not on his farm. He is in the executive mansion, which is the people's house, to handle our business. And I'm here to tell him he's failing on all fronts. On all fronts. I don't want to even talk about the travels. You know, it's like he's traveling on the average of maybe 2 trips per week now. He comes from Abuja. In no time, he's in Lofa. In no time, he's in Ghana, Accra. Well, what is he looking for?
The president
Because
is
he's
looking
not
for
bringing
money.
anything home to us.
The president is looking for money to fund his developmental projects.
Yeah, well, so I have to really agree with Mr. Tower here. What is the agenda that this president is driving? And can he really honestly sit down and say, okay, I think I'm doing well here on agriculture. I think I'm doing well here on education. I think I'm doing well here on sanitation. Can Mr. Waller tell me that? Instead of all this nonsense he posting here about HPS and all these things, what do they have to do with his agenda? That's what I want to understand. How can this president be satisfied? Back in September, what do they call it, a 9 mode or whatever it is? This president, according to them, which they have not debunked, he had only achieved 3% of what he promised the people during the campaign. Are they proud of that? They can't be proud of that. So I'm really disappointed. Like I said, you know, this president has had the advantage point where he was vice president for 12 years. He was the leading opposition leader in the country for another 6 years. Then before that, he was in government. He held several different positions in government. He's supposed to know government inside out. He is supposed to know government inside out. So to be familiar with what is hurting our people. He came to rescue I can't think of anyone in Liberia, maybe Mr. Wallow, who is feeling rescued by this president. And his government. I can't.
Thank you. Mr. Gibbon, if anything that we heard much from now our president, Mr. Joseph Yamambuaka, is the issue of rule of law. He will be this rule of law guy. In fact, it's part of the arrest agenda. That arrow, one of the arrows there is rule of law. And so when we're talking rule of law, we're also talking accountability. So talking about that, we have the issue of assets recovery. One would think that was an impressive initiative by the president. And then the issue of asset declaration. All right. I know there are some officials who the president has been literally begging to declare their assets. Right. And then we're also talking about investigations, from inaugural funds, investigation at the LDEA. So these are things that the government, has been, embarking on. Will you say these are serious areas that we can commend the government for? There was an investigation into the inaugural fund, the LDEA. These investigations, where are they?
Well, first of all, a couple of months ago, I was on here and I said it. The disrespect of the Supreme Court was not meant for what we are talking about. It is meant for 2029. Joseph Boakai, usually when there is an electoral complaint in Liberia, where does it go? To the Supreme Court. If Joseph Boakai says the Supreme Court has no power over us, we are an independent arm of the government, we are not going to listen. Mr. Anthony Gay, I think you're falling asleep there. Joseph Boakai can proclaim himself the winner because he doesn't respect the Supreme Court. Where else can you go? Now, let's look at Joseph Boakai flying all over the place. As we speak, all the government hospitals in Liberia are down. The health workers are on strike. As we speak, the University of Liberia have been closed for months. As we speak, we're talking about the education system. There are some schools that have not opened. This is December. This administration appealed to some of the schools to wait a little bit of delay their opening because times are hard. I have never seen this in the history of Liberia. You were talking about the water system. In the first 90 days, they said that the water was going to be restored in Monserrado, Maghibi, and Grand Bassa County, respectively. These are hefty promises made, and Monrovia have not even received water. Forget about Maghibi and Grand Bassa County. You talk about the rule of law. Today we saw citizens murdering somebody in the streets of Monrovia as it was done during the elections. On the Japanese highway, you saw what the people from the ACO did. They went and said, nobody from the CDC is coming on the street, and they killed people. They told, as we saw today. Same thing happened in Lofa County when this boy Momo was killed on television live. And those people who were arrested, they are now, one of them is now the commissioner in the town where he committed the murder. This is tyranny. If I can kill Momo in Foya, and they take me and make me chief, it tells everybody in Foya that when I'm around, I can kill you and nothing will happen. Someone talk about the country might have been so bad, it would take years to bring it up. Was it so bad that Joseph Boakai flying all over the place in private jet? Is it so bad that Joseph Boakai is going to open a clinic and pour his wife and his photo on the bed sheet? Can you imagine someone who is not a member of the Unity Party Somebody whose child has been killed by these people. You laying on the sheet, on the bed sheet of somebody who has killed your somebody. Do you know the mental trauma this is causing our people? But yet and still, we sit here and we want to say it will take time. Listen, we are talking about a caste system. We are talking about a foundation that have been set. The first year set the foundation. I would say 60% of Joseph Boakai appointed, they're all acting. They are not being confronted, they are all acting. The LTA is acting, the central bank is acting, Universal Library is acting. All of these people are acting. It has to be a plan. This is how to be a conspiracy. Why are all these people? The government is going in its second year, and we got people acting all over the place. These people are not confirmed. They're just acting. They're just there doing their own thing. You talk about investigation. Here we are here. This was in September. It's a Boakai government on a probe for $15 million off budget. The institution that doing this. Nothing happened since then. We had the LDEA. They said they were doing that. Nothing happened. When the LTA got into a problem, he impaneled a committee to look at all the salary across the independent institution to see how we can reconcile that. That has not happened. Like today, somebody from the U.S. Embassy said the war and economic chronicle. Nobody hears about it anymore. It looks like it was geared toward Prince Johnson. Since Prince Johnson died, nobody says anything about the war and economic chronicle. So where is the rule, law, and order, Mr. C? Where is the law and order? Few days ago, the joint security. They were at the Capitol building. They had to put lockdown. Where are the police when people are killing each other on the street? This is what we are talking about. When there is no law and order, when the people cannot go to the court for redress, they cannot rely on the police, they cannot rely on the government. This is what you're going to see, and this is just the beginning. To see a car on fire in Liberia and to see a manure truck, I don't want to call the word here, but to see a garbage manure truck where the feces, they are using feces to put out fire. And this is the image of our country. And the president leave all this behind, and they say he's going to a wedding to celebrate. Mr. C, we are in trouble, but those are we said it from the beginning. If your boss say you are not ready for this job, you are not good enough for this job, and you go against the will of your boss, this is what we get.
Thank you, Mr. Jimet. Dr. Bodie, let's look at some reform measures. Let's look at the government in terms of the priority areas and how the government doing. Let me direct you to some reforms. Are there some bright spots that you see? If not, what are some of the reforms they put in place you think are not genuine enough? Civil service, there have been some reforms going on there. I think the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Foreign Service, I think they have initiated some reforms. Call all the ambassador at large. I don't know how we're doing that, with Foreign Service. Okay, are there any other reforms that you see? The issue of salary structure that Mr. Gilman was talking about is an issue. LTA, for example, generator making $3,000, and these people are earning pretty close to $8,000 a month, and there has not been any effort. What are the necessary reforms that they are making, to make things better from what we had before?
Well, the thing is, look, most of us who have been observers of Liberian politics since President Sirleaf became president have always called for reduction in salaries as an easy win, right? It's a win that will release significant amount of the limited resources that we have as a country to repurpose in terms of investing in things like agriculture. And sometimes I think when we say investing in agriculture, people don't understand. If we invest in agriculture and start to produce rice, for example, it reduces our expenditure in importation of rice, right? That money stays within the country. It can go to develop other sectors. Not only that, it will employ some of these young people that are running around the country with no jobs and nothing to do and on drugs, right? So it solves some of the problems. Bob Marley said, a hungry man is an angry man. right? And a lot of the people in Liberia are doing the things that they're doing because they're angry at what is going on. You and I are sitting here, and I know I like to pick on my friend Mr. Morris, but even I get upset sometimes, my brother. Sometimes you sit down, you want to cry, and my family not suffering in Liberia. Honestly, I won't lie, my family don't suffer in Liberia, but not because of that. Because you look at human beings; these people are my people. They carry the same blood that I carry. We're all from the same country. We're not even many. Every time we tell our African counterpart, "Oh yeah, we're 5 point something million," like, is that it? 5 point something million, and we cannot do something for 5 point something million to get them. Look, the president came in at EPS, the Executive Management Protection Service. They fire hundreds of people, right? But then with all these dismissals in government, when the budget came out, our salary bill gone up. But we're not, like, again, I've not owned a business before, but for you guys who own businesses, you cannot be laying off staff and then your salary bill go up. It doesn't make sense. Economically, it don't make sense. Business wise, it don't make sense. When you're reducing the number of people you're paying salaries to, the salary budget is supposed to drop so that you can then take that money and reinvest in other aspects of your business to generate more revenue for your business and make it prosperous. Look, I will say, when it came out, when I saw it, and I would disagree with Mr. Tao. Well, not disagree, but because I'm not an expert. I think Mr. Eastman pointed this out. The 90 million that they want to spend on solar thing, when I saw that, for me, I clapped. I won't lie to you. Because I thought, oh, that's a good initiative. Right? Trying to harness the sun to produce electricity, to ease the burden of our people, to get access to good and constant supply of electricity. It's a good thing. And then Mr. Eastman said, yeah, but I think that we can do it for 20 something million. I said, you're sorry. The man I scam how you inflate the price by 70 million. Don't make sense. I've seen they redoing, not redoing, they put in asthma on the road towards Tapeta, I think, which again, we would think that that's a good initiative. But I won't see the bill because it seems that this government, even when they try to make progress, right, they overinflate the price of progress that sometimes some of us say, we'll keep the Dustin Motor Road all right, because you get that 22 million to go fix road and road become worse. So okay, we'll deal with them all. Because the price that we have to pay as a country is so high, then you're sitting there and thinking, how is it possible? So there are some little things that they're doing that we can look at and say, okay, maybe. But the price tag attached to these things is so high that sometimes you just don't want to have it. And for me, this president has set the scene for what is going on in the country. Look, Liberia has an executive president, and I will agree with Mr. Tao on the system issue on this front. And we all, as Liberians, take our cues from the president. As President Todman used to say, so say one, so say all, right? We take, whether we like it or not, as Liberians, we take our cues from the office of the president. If the president, like President Weah, when he came to power, he came with a proposal, all wearing proposal around, right? President Toba, higher hat suit, everybody wearing higher hat suit around. Whatever Ellen Johnson came with, all the women, some men say, oh, taking lapa and put on their shoulder. So we take our cues from the office of the president. And people are looking at this president and say, oh, but if the president can fire somebody that he has no right to fire, I can do the same and get away with it, like Mr. Gaiman was pointing out in Lopa County. Or if the president can allow a murderer to serve in government, oh, but then I can kill somebody, the president will let him to serve. So the president, I do not believe, and I said this a few minutes ago, I don't believe that it's a mistake. I think it was Mr. Gay that thought, oh, he doesn't think the president is. I believe this president is in charge. And I believe everything he's doing is intentional. I believe this is the reason why Ellen Johnson said to her, no, I can't. Because this guy is not a number one. He's a number two that is parked, right? Because when you park him, you lock the door, you know where you're keeping the car at. Because when the car outside, sometimes you can go certain places, you know where it's going. So it's good to park it and lock it. We didn't listen to Ellen. And now, as Liberians, we have to bear the plum of what we chose.
Mr. Gay, let's look at budgeting with our new administration. You think they're doing they're doing a better job with the budget, the way the budget is being crafted and passed? Does that actually align with the priorities of the government?
Absolutely not. Earlier, you asked a question and you said when you were in Liberia, you're being told that the we administration had destroyed almost everything that the earlier administration put into place. So that's the reason why this new administration is struggling. Madam Seri herself said the educational system was a mess and she could not fix the issue of corruption. Madam Seri herself declared the educational system a mess. And issue of corruption, she fell flat. So what system are they referring to when they say George Weah destroyed the system? When Madam Seri, who was in office for 12 years, described our educational system as a mess and also flunk in the area of corruption. So you see, it's easy to ship a blame, Mr. Sier, but instead of them accepting the challenges and start working on it gradually, they want to do multiple things at the same time and doing nothing. I'm in a field where efforts are a good thing, but doesn't matter if you cannot deliver a result. You can try everything you want to do, it's up to you. At the end of the day, you must deliver. Either you deliver or somebody come and replace you at that job. There is no, oh, I tried my best kind of thing. Liberia is at the place where, oh, I tried does not cut it. Pick a sector, work on it, deliver on that sector. Stop jumping here and there. This administration and this national budget, and this is where I disagree. When you hear them talk about, oh, we have a plan, a national plan for 5 years and the price tag of $8.1 billion, a bulk of that plan is dependent upon donor funds, not domestic revenue generation, but donor funds. So if the donor change their mind, then Liberia is what? How do you bring in a finance minister who came from the African Development Bank and one of the leaders in that sector, comes to Liberia, introduce a budget that does not reflect the agenda of this administration? They have the rescue agenda, the arrest agenda. That arrest agenda has zero policy. An agenda is an idea, it's a vision. The policy is the working tool. You must have a policy that is driving your idea. Where is the policy? We have yet to see the policy. At least there was something called the PAPD, Proper Development for Prosperity, Proper Agenda for Development and Prosperity for the Weah administration. Even though they themselves did not follow their own document, but at least they had something on paper, right? This administration come into play and gave a nice acronym, arrest. Zero policy. The national budget does not meet the minimum criteria of transparency. Nobody saw them debating the budget. The budget was not debated. The national budget was passed $880 million. A lot of area, no line item rating. It just blank. So what are we doing to ourselves? First of all, talk to economists. I am not one. For Liberia to move forward, $1 billion will not cut it. We need at least $2 to $3 billion before we can start making progress. We need to invest into agriculture. We need to be intentional. And I want to emphasize on our intentional. We got to be intentional about agriculture. Our neighbor, Ivory Coast, 65% of the national budget comes from agriculture. Last year, 17.9 billion United States dollars was the national budget. And 65% of that money came from agriculture. We are not deliberate and intentional about agriculture. Agriculture will solve a lot of issues. Again, electricity. I want to agree with Mr. Tower here when you talk about the APM terminal deal. Liberia is not benefiting from APM terminal. We got about, if I'm not mistaken, there was a deal of 35 years. So I think about 7 more years left.
25.
25 years? Okay. And APM terminal is doing a disservice to Liberia, right? They are collecting huge amount of money and we're getting peanuts. So the only way the Liberian government can get money, they have to create another bottleneck. So there are about 23 different bureaucracies you have to go through just to free one continuum. When we're supposed to be able to make it easier for Liberian to be able to ship into Liberia. So, Mr. Seer, we are our own worst enemy. Look at LEC. Why LEC is not making access to power accessible to the customer? If I want service, if I pay for the service should be able to be delivered to my address or to my location within a given period. 5 days, 10 days, maximum 14 days. But guess what? Even if you pay LEC, it will take you months before they bring the power meter. It will take you months before they even run the line. You need to be able to get loan from the commercial bank, run the services to people that will reduce power theft. Power theft, even if you do the whole calculation of individual power theft, does not amount to the big corporations that are consuming more power who are not paying. Because individuals get 1 or 2 LED bulbs, 1 fan, 1 refrigerator, compared to the amount of power that is consumed by the big corporation who aren't paying bills. Government also not paying electricity bill. Government official also not paying electricity bill. So how do you move the country? The CLSG line have 5 substations in Liberia. 1 in Grand Judea, 1 in Nima, 1 in Bomi, 1 in Buchanan, another 1 in Basarawa County. They are functional substations. The reason why we're having trouble, we owe the people. So they shut us down. It is a 24/7 electricity. Sierra Leone is benefiting from it. Why are we not benefiting from it? Ivory Coast don't go out of power, and our power from Ivory Coast. Because if we prioritize electricity, you cannot function in any sector in the 21st century without a reliable source of power. You need a reliable source of power. In order for the solar panel project to function, you need a functional electric grid. Because when you generate the power, and you cannot use that power that you generated, you need to send it back on the electric grid to be consumed. You can't just generate power and it's sitting there. Look in New Jersey. You see almost every light pole has a solar plate. What it's doing? It generates power for the street lights. But if it generates more power, that power also is sent back on the power grid to PSE&G. And PSE&G also reuse that power and distribute it to people. These guys don't do their homework. They just talk and talk and talk. That's why they brought 2 buses from Ghana. Instead of them driving up those buses in Ghana, they brought it all the way to Liberia. Test drive the buses, found out that it was 40 before they returned it. What kind of backward idea is that? So you don't have common sense that the buses have to be test drive in Ghana before bringing it to Liberia. So, Mr. Seer, this is a disservice to the Liberian people. A bunch of people who claim to be educated, experienced, and still cannot govern themselves accordingly. It is a disservice.
You, Mr. Evan Morris, this will be the final question to you guys, and then we will take phone calls. I know all of you expressed unhappiness about the performance of our new government, but I don't think everything is 100% as bad as we might be sounding. Are there few bright spots? Are there some good initiatives? Are there some places that are at least functional, to some level of appreciation? Can we talk about those? Nothing at all? Evans, let's start with you. Do you see any bright spots or some bright spots, some okay areas there in the government or in Liberia?
All right, thank you. I will get to that part, but I wanted to say this to Mr. Towell. He said something that was profound. This is something that most people know, but I think all the smart people that we have in our government maybe the ideas seem to elude them. You can't have sustained development without industrialization. That's one of our biggest problems. Like Anthony was saying, we haven't focused on any industry or industries that would sustain our development to raise revenue from our agriculture sector or from our service-based, sector. We don't have any strong industries in our country to sustain any development project that we want to do. And anybody know, even if the business woman know, you can't continue to borrow money to sustain your business. It's not feasible. It's not economically feasible. So to go out to borrow money or to ask for money to develop your country is a non-starter. So why can't we focus on the sector and try to use that sector to sustain the development that we want to see in our country? The second thing is, continuous policy focus. Why can't we have a 20-year plan that's almost in law that every successive government must adhere to that plan and see it to fruition, that develop our road networks, for example, that regardless of whatever government comes, you cannot prioritize that project because you want to, step away from there and get your own political glory in a different sector because you don't want to continue what the last government was doing. I think that's one of our biggest problems. Every government comes with a different mindset and a different list of priorities that they're trying to get done in the country to get political reciprocation because they feel like they can use that to pit themselves against the former government or perhaps a future government. So you have these Middle Eastern countries, they might have a 30-year plan, and they're going to stick to that plan. And most of these governments are monarchies, and most of them are dictatorial governments, and they can stick to a 20-year plan and see it to fruition. But in Liberia, we'll start one road, we'll leave it halfway for 6 years, 8 years, before we get a new government that they switch their focus to maybe a different thing like healthcare, and then not even prioritizing, the infrastructure of the country. So I think the policy people on the ground, who's writing these policies? Who's writing the policies for sustained development in these different, sectors in our country? You take somebody like Roland Giddens, who again is not a civil engineer. Does he understand the minutia of how to build roads, how to sustain them, how to maintain them? He doesn't. So why have we put in people there who are not technically sound and who doesn't have a depth and a wealth of knowledge and a depth in that field that can really help to develop that sector and lay the groundworks for many years to come, where other people can build on. Those are some of the things that's really bothering us. In a way, I would say this is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Anybody that work in corporate America or even have some little managerial skill, this is elementary, but there's something called LARP, logical, achievable, reasonable and practical solutions, right? It's like quick wins, in my place of work, we got something called quick wins. It's like a quick impact project that you can look around, you do assessment, and you find a quick impact project that you can do right away that will impact in that, in that specific department or that specific area. And I think this is what about that trying to focus on.
Can't hear you.
Are you getting me now?
We're hearing you, but your mouse is just faltering,
Okay, maybe I gotta speak into the mic a little bit better.
You need to leave. Get out of that Minnesota there. I agree with you.
No, I think it's a handset he's using. That's what I had the problem.
But how's the now?
It's faulty.
Yeah, hold it.
Am I speaking into the mic good?
Oh, why can't I get you that thing? Not working, my man.
Make sure it's in the computer well, whatever device you're using.
I don't know. My mic was working okay just now. I don't know what's wrong with it again. I don't know.
That's what happened.
Unplug it from the device and plug it. Make sure it's inserted firmly into the device because it's like it's shaking, so it's giving a feedback.
That's what I'm saying. How is it going right now? Is it still giving a feedback?
Much better.
No, it's much better now.
Okay, maybe I just gotta stay in this position. But I was saying, I'll just wrap it up quick so I don't keep hurting you guys' ear. But I'm just saying that the quick win, things that this government is trying to do. I mean, it's good in a way. I think Mr. C, you always ask this person to want to give, promotion to your main joker. Because I think he's one of the bright spots, so we'll always praise him and say, yeah, he's doing well at the CSA. And as such, that's one of the bright spots for his government. But I think he made a huge blunder, and I keep going back to it. That situation where he trampled upon those people's freedom of speech and fired them for insulting the president as if he's the president, a moral bodyguard, and nobody can talk bad, upon his name. I think that was a misstep. But overall, I think the reform is good. In that regard, we say the government did well in that part of it. The whole 90-day initiative for no car being stuck on the road, it was a good political stunt, and he could have had some quick wins had it been more, effective on how they did it. But again, there's some corruption in there with the amount of money that they allocated for those roles. So for me, I would say there's some good things. We haven't gone to war. I mean, I always think about us not going to war as a good thing. Having a peaceful country is a good thing. So I would give them props for not going to war. He's not having any major disturbance in the country. A plus. And then lastly, I would say this.
Thank you, Morris. That's okay.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, that leave it that. And gentlemen, let be economical with the time. We want to go to the columns. 1 minute at least each, please, gentlemen. Any bright spots that you see? And Evans, I don't know, because I asked a question, you said, and I just embraced my friend joke.
Yeah, because we'll say the men doing well. So you can keep picking almost over and tell you to see if the women's doing well.
He's not Starling. That's not giving you.
Yeah, you know when I open my mouth, I speak plainly, right? All right.
So let me jump in.
Go around the room. Any bright spot that you see?
Let me jump in with a bright spot.
Mr. Number, which bright spot you see? A few.
Well, I gotta give them this. At least we're sitting here and talking about their failures, and hopefully we'll talk about their successes without the station being closed down. I think we got to give it to them. We know the two previous governments, even the one he was a part of, they closed down a lot of the stations that were very tough on them. Costa is an example here, Spoon TV and all of them. So the fact that they can even allow us to do this and not closing it down, I think I give them the props for that. The president also, he made some move with, the War and Economic Crimes Code legislation. But again, my assessment is relative to what I think he's capable of and what they're putting out. So when you put the two side by side, the net is that he is underperforming. That is my problem. Yeah, he's doing a little bit, but it's a minimalist approach to the matter. Where is the asset recovery? What happened to the war? Just the legislation is all that is it. I mean, what's going to happen? You raised that. The departure of Prince Johnson seems to have taken the heat out of the whole process. We wait to see. But yeah, those little things I will give them to them. But there is a whole lot that I had expected, and I'm not saying that at all.
My bright spot would be appointing Dr. Nya Dube at the health. That is a man who is well qualified.
You mean MPhil?
MPhil, a man who is well qualified that can actually transform our industry and even go as far as research, because that's his area, to do research if the government can give him the resources that it requires. So the question here is, will his agenda jive with the Lofa County agenda? Because basically Lofa County controls everything. So is this what we do? But other than that, I think he is a perfect fit for that particular agency.
Thank you. Dr. Bode, any bright spots?
Well, I think the fact, I think just quickly to Mr. Nangwe's point, I don't think the government of Liberia has the power to shut down focus on Liberia. But so it's not maybe that, or they're not shutting it down, but they don't have the power. They don't have the reach to so we shouldn't be giving them credit for that. But look, the fact that we're sitting here and looking for bright spots tells you how poor this government and president are doing, right? Because we're struggling, looking for a needle in a haystack. That's what we're doing. Can we find something? I know, Mr. CA, you've already been accused of talking about your friend Josiah Joka and this and that, but we're struggling to find something that we can say, oh, let it and it shouldn't be. After a year in government, after, again, all of the individuals, including Honorable Gafuan, who's come back in there in this government, are recycled politicians. These people were in Ellen government. They were there for 12 years. So they should know how to, they put these systems in place. Because look, if I have a system in my house that I put in place and I gave Mr. Nangbe my key to spend 2 weeks here, I come back, he broke the system. To put the system back together is easy because I built the system. I shouldn't take a whole year to put the system back together. So that we're looking for, we should be judging these guys with a much higher standard, right? Because at the end of the day, this is their system. If they're accused, I wanted to say something earlier. The bright spot is they've got a plan. That one, me, I give it to them. They have a plan, and it's a simple plan. Blame George Weah. That's their plan. Anything, blame George Weah. That's the plan they're here with. The rowing cool that George Weah. Oh, they bring somebody home yesterday. Oh, that George Weah. Oh, they're using people to call up fire. Oh, that George Weah. Blame George Weah. That's their plan. So that's the bright spot. They have a plan.
All right.
I mean, I just want to test on my this my son.
Mr. Anthony Gay, what are the bright spots you see? Where do you see some serious efforts? Where can we commend the government?
Hey, the father, I want to agree with that completely. The father was even looking for bright spot. Look, I like the enthusiasm of our dear brother Josiah Joket. He meant well. He had good intention. Unlike Elvis, I found something different, and here's what I found: the introduction of salary advancement at the interest rate of 3.5% for 14 to 15 days for the civil servant. For me, I found that, and here's why. The poor member said, yes, it's a good idea. At least I was supposed to go borrow money from somebody who was going to charge me 10% or 20%. But at least I can get my money. Josiah Joket. It will not cost the government too much money than what it will cost the regular civil servant at that 3.5% rate. Introduce a bi-weekly salary payment, which will put 26 paychecks in the hands of those people annually, as opposed to the 12 paychecks that they're receiving right now annually. Credit to Professor Larry Kennedy. He spoke about this. I am not an economist. I'm using what he said. Issue these people a bi-weekly salary payment. That companies like ADP and other, company out there that do payroll and all of that stuff. If you don't have the expert in Liberia to do it for you, and at a lower rate, if you multiply that 3.5% interest rate that you want to give the bank, which of course is so excited because right now, commercial banks are not attracting customers because they have lost their credibility. You put your money in the bank, you go for it, to tell you system down. That in itself discourages anybody to want to open an account. Nobody can come and advertise to you and say, oh, Cash App is good. Because when you download the Cash App, you transfer the money on your Cash App. When you want the money is right there. Or when somebody do a transaction, the money comes to you. I heard you the other day, Mr. Sear, talking about when there is a transaction on a mobile money in Liberia, the mobile money company gets $2 just for transaction fee. Those kind of things. So I see his intention, his desire to change the system, make it better for the people. And he's doing a good job. But the overall government is sucking up all of the energy from him because he's trying so hard to make things better. In his effort to make things good, he also taking steps. And these things will happen when you are, zealous and excited to get things done at the early stage of your leadership. You will have some missteps. We all have had those moments in our early stage of being a leader. So for a company, being a leader for a company. So we know what those feelings like, right? So I will encourage my brother to think in that direction, introducing a bi-weekly salary payment to the people. Guess what it will do? It will stimulate the macroeconomy of Liberia. it will give people the confidence. Purchasing power will grow. People will be able to do things quicker, faster, and the money will circulate. But if the guy had to wait for 30 days to receive a paycheck, as opposed to getting a paycheck twice a month, it changed the dynamic. Those little things in economics matter. People overlook these little changes, right? So I want to encourage Josiah as he's working tirelessly to get things done. Revisit this idea. I know your intention are good, my brother. You don't mean harm, but I just think that money, 3.5% interest rate, going to the bank, taking it out of Paul Silverstein pocket, in my opinion, is hurting them. Even though right now it may sound good in the ear because they want the money, but economically, it's not good for them. And so, much I want him to succeed, I want him to succeed the right way. So there where I have my pushback when he introduced that. I want to give this government a credit for being eligible for the MCC. We can say whatever we want. The only way this government will not receive that money if they continue the path that they own. That is the neglect for the rule of law. Because part of the criteria of receiving that money is adherent to the rule of law. So, yes, you are qualified, you are eligible for the MCC, but there are conditions also laid out. So do the right thing. For somebody to give you $500 million that you don't have to pay back, that is a blessing. So do all of the rightful thing that you need to do to get that money, instead of being arrogant and say, oh, you will neglect the rule of law. Because the United States State Department website has something different there now. You'll visit the State Department website and Google Liberia today, you will see the fire on the Capitol building. Up to this date, we are yet to receive an update on the situation with the fire. The police was in charge of that building before the fire got in the building. They were in charge. What happened? What didn't happen? We don't know. And they have to come. The scene was not protected. That scene has been compromised. A lot of people went in there right after the fire, and they're not supposed to be there. So that whole fire scene has been compromised.
Thank you. Thank you. And to your point there, you have a very sound point there. But Josiah actually also floated the idea of a bi-weekly payment system. But for that to happen, the government must have the cash sitting down. And the government does not have that money.
Right there.
He mentioned that to me, that he wants to see that. And I told him, and I said, brother, the only way I want you to enforce this is government should have at least 3 months of salary in the bank, cash sitting down. And what is there, if the government is able to make that bi-weekly payment with that 3 months salary, or 6 separate statements, actually 6 separate statements, 6 separate payments are there. Then when there's a default, then you have something that can fall on. Maybe you can correct course as you go on, but until then that may be a serious problem. So yeah,
within seconds, they need to invest into post and telecommunication for logistics, carrier packets, liaising with what's the company, DHL, so they can generate revenue instead of post and telecommunication just sitting there. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
How's my mic now? Is it still terrible?
Your mic is good. Let's get to
your mic is good now.
The bright spot.
Any bright spot that you see,
Yeah, there is a bright spot, and it's one big one.
Okay.
Corruption. That's a bright spot for the government. They are sucking our country dry. And it's a bright spot because you said bright spot. You didn't say in the interest of the Liberian people or in the interest of the government and its officials. So that's a bright spot.
You sounded like a president now. Who put in courage and steel in one Senate? How can that be a bright spot?
Yeah, it's a bright spot for them. But look at what happened here. We shouldn't the MCC stuff. I think we kind of maybe don't have the clear idea. No 500 million is being given to no country. It don't work that way. The 500 million is a grant that is earmarked. The U.S., the State Department, all of the NGOs, they designate programs. They already have people on the ground through all the NGOs, and they're going to manage that money, and they're going to determine where it goes. They're going to handle it. So what happened? That money, 90% or more of that money would be transferred from one bank in New York to another one in California. In payment, in salaries, in all kinds of consulting fees, and it's a small portion that make it down there. So let us not base on that, because the government is going to say, oh, we now have 500 million, so they're going to go ahead and steal the rest of the money that is left there. So no 500 million coming into Liberia. It don't work that way. I've been around those stuff from missionary days and then grants and stuff. It don't work that way. Just administrative fees on some of the stuff that is 90%. And it's only 10% that then go to the country. That 10%, they have so-called experts that follow it. And they come then their position as, they call them a chief of party that are there, and they make almost all of it. And then the very few people that are high in Liberia make just a little bit. That is why those things never make any impact. So when you hear that there were 500 billion or 300 billion from the US and from this, on an early time, that they say they spent 760 million in Liberia's agriculture. That is why you don't see anything, because that money did not make it to Liberia. I have my cousin that worked with the agricultural program. That money don't make it there. And this is where we continue to have problems, because they told us they will subsidize agriculture, health, and power. The money don't come there. So then the government then move the money into salary, and then they steal it, and agriculture, health, and everything else lies there wasted and no money in there. That is why see they don't put money in there, because they say, oh, it's going to be our partners going to subsidize that, but the subsidy don't go that way. It's not actual money that come to you.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, before I go to the phone line, and those who are waiting for the line to be open, I open the line. I've been posting the number to call. You can actually start calling now. The line is open for you to participate. Look, gentlemen, we have a country that is in serious problem. Very, very serious. But at the same time, I see opportunities. The bright spot that I see in Liberia, the fact that there are so many problems and the solutions are known. And what is left is that any individual, any group of people to carry that solution and put it into place and make it work. If you go in Liberia, water is a problem. So if you have a solution to how to provide safe drinking water in Liberia, say you are a businessman, you will make money, and at the same time, you provide safe drinking water for our people. We're talking about electricity. There are so many sources of power. Are you somebody who can carry an investor that will invest in solar or any other source of energy? People will go for it because it's needed. We talk about education. Schools are in shambles. We're talking about University of Liberia is not even open. Look at the building. Look at the facility that actually we have at the university. What student, practically I can say, is no near compared to any country. If somebody can intervene with a solution, it will be appreciated. And that goes to me, that goes to you, it goes to every one of us. For little money, you can start something in Liberia and you will be appreciated and you will do so much good because the needs are all over the place. The problems are all over the places and the solutions are right there. The solutions are with us. Let's look at the whole of Monrovia is like swamp. Can anybody start a business in Liberia to say, you know what, I'm going to be, making sure all the swamp are dry them just by putting crushed rags, dirt in those communities, in those swampy areas. You can dry those places and reclaim those land, and the living conditions of those people will be better. So those are the bright spots I see. But other than that, this is a country that is in peril. The greatest of it all is leadership. The reason why we're having all these wars, because of leadership. Leadership from the business circle to government, everywhere. I started a business in Liberia and permit me to say this. And I went to Orange Money and I applied so that I can get their mobile money system integrated into my platform. The guy I met, I wrote in on the 1st of November. The guy did not reply to my communication until I left Liberia on December the 5th. This guy is working in the private sector. Now take that to the government, it's even worse. So everywhere you go, the attitude that people bring towards responsibility is beyond belief. When you show to a business the thing that, they are there to do you a favor instead of providing you a service. Training is lacking in every aspect from government. Somebody is employed with government. There's no onboarding process to say, look, today's your first day, sit before the computer, or there's a training department that's going to train this person how to start work. I have friends who have started work and they have to figure out how to start work in that very place. So we are a country that is in a huge mess. And until people like us decide to take responsibilities of some of these problems and provide solutions, we do not have a functional country. We have a dead country that is just left alone to die a natural death.
Mr. C.
In a day and age, you bring it to electricity, the provision of power. Ivory Coast is doing 1 million times better than us. We have existed for over 100 years than Ivory Coast. The same can be said about Ghana and all other countries. Electricity, for example, let alone water. All around us, you see water. We cannot provide safe drinking water for all of our residents or citizens in Monrovia. I'm not talking about non-Grand Crew. We can't do it as a nation. So let me tell you, I tell you this much. I have friends in the government, but they know my mouth. I'm not a coward. Our government that we have today is as practically useless to us as the sand on the beach. And I won't say it.
Mr. C, 1 minute.
No, sand on the beach is useful. You can build house here.
When even during the weird people or during the alien government, I took some investors to Liberia, and it took like 3 months to just complete the application. So my thing was, I brought them here to Florida, where they saw the system where you can register your business in an hour, less than an hour. You can register 1,000 businesses, and they are charging you $75 per registration, right? You put it online, you do that. They not do anything, you just put it online, you get. These people are collecting $75 from, I'm talking about nonprofit now, I'm not talking about the LLC. From 1,000, 2,000 people a day. That's just money going into the account. Whether you start a business or you fail, it has nothing. I told you before, why are you stopping people from, like you went to Liberia to start a business? Why would it take you all that time to register a business? They want you to get a lawyer and you write your own incorporation. Yeah, they won't accept it. It has to come from the law firm. I don't know why we are like this. People want to start businesses and you putting them through. They gotta go to. I send my in the Georgia administration. I transported my car to Liberia. To free the car, I paid $7,000 to free one car. I was tempted in leaving it there, but I had an attachment to my car.
Yeah,
I had to pay $7,000 to free the car at that port. So how do you want?
You're preaching to the choir.
People like you and myself we say we work here so hard, you save your money, you want to go home and do something good, and they put all these obstacles in your way.
All right, gentlemen, we have to close up to now since I posted a number. I think the audience feel that we are doing a better job. I think, our friend Sam Wallace said, hopefully in 2025, FOL will have a positive outlook on Liberia. This is what we are doing is a realistic outlook of how things are in Liberia. And I don't know, someone said, look, okay, that's Senwolo. He said, yeah, he started a business in a country that is in peril. Does that even make sense? Yes, it makes sense. I said it. I said, until people let us intervene to start taking responsibility, trying to find solutions to the problems that are there. I mean, who does Senwolo think going to solve the problem in like eating at HPS? Because he's boasting about $500 million money from what's it called, Millennium Compact. Look, let me tell you, we don't need any penny from Millennium Compact. It's just that our leaders are not serious. We do not need any money from Millennium Compact to develop our country. $5 million is a drop in the ocean. When you look at the problems that we have, it is because our leaders are bankrupt of ideas. They don't know what to do. I mean, how we have a country that is a beggar nation. When President Bouaka took over, the first place I saw him, he took an ambulance as a gift from Buffer Chambers. And followed that, the president received another gift from a group of people that said they were giving fire service equipment to Liberia. And now we're taking some things from what? Guinea. We're taking cars from Guinea. Why are we reducing ourselves to this? Why should we be praying? Like we're praying to God to get money from Millennium Compact. The last time we got it was in 2015.
Yep.
Is that what we're going to rely on to pay the bills?
Mr. C, please stop. Please stop.
We have to close 1 minute each, and our time, everybody. Go ahead, Evan Morris. We have to close.
Yeah, I'm just telling you to please stop it because these are the things that just demoralize us when we hear all the problems that's in the country that can be fixed. Demoralizes us. So for me, I'm hoping for a better 2025. I hope that this president can eat all the eating he can eat and God. You shouldn't even want to get a promo where he's so full you even get an appetite to eat anymore, and thereby you have the time to focus on the Liberian people and actually do the work. You have accumulated enough wealth. Your great grandchildren will see the money all you leave with them. Now, try to do things better for the country because some of us are giving up. We are starting to give up. If not completely giving up on the country, start doing things better, President. President Bouaka. 5 more years. That's a long time for most of us. So I will be back. Hopefully, be more committed than ever to come and give my take, my outlook on the situation. And I'm going to have a different approach in 2025. I'm not going to stress myself out about Liberia. I'm not going to even be getting too many arguments. They're counterproductive and they're not just worth it with my energy. I'll just be here to listen, consume, and give constructive output rather than let frustration or anger lead me to another cycle. But thank you for having me on. It's always good to be back on the platform.
Mr. Gay, you have a minute to close, please.
Thank you, Mr. Sia, and the panelists. That was a great show. I'm going to be very straightforward here. I hope that Liberia succeed. But in the process of doing so, I'm going to work behind the scene with my party and my rest of the other people so that we don't have a George Weah return to office. Because right now it seems as though CDC is the alternative of Liberia. We don't want that. Liberia is not a binary political country where if it's not A, that B, or 1 or 0 kind of thing. We are better than that, and we've got to put ourselves in that position to, take on state power when the time is necessary, and we'll do our due diligence behind the scene. As much as we hope that because when this government succeed, it will make our job easy. If the government fail, then we'll have to do a lot more work. So I don't wish that the government fail. I wish that the government succeed. President Bouaka need to do some reshuffling. I want to recommend that strongly. A lot of folks in your administration, President Bouaka, that are not up to the task, they need to be reshuffled. You gave a 10 days ultimatum in November. Those 10 days have long gone and elapsed. For those that have yet to declare their assets, asset declaration is not a personal choice; it's a constitutional mandate. Please You don't have to beg these people. The Code of Conduct, Section 15, clearly lay out penalties as to how you can go about, suspending and holding those people accountable. You don't have to beg them. No more ultimatum again. If they can't declare the assets, take action. It's been too long. And again, we wish our nation a success. We hope that our country do well. It is a shame that we're 177 years old and we stay here talking about how to, provide safe drinking water. Safe drinking water when people using, feces to put on fire. When you don't have fire extinguisher, you take sand. Common sense. You take sand and put it on the fire. You don't take waste product and put on things. I mean, another thing in Liberia, like Mr. Siet spoke about, training people. The police have not had rehearsal for the last 17 years, I heard. That is insane. That is insane. You need to train people. We are here that working professional field. We are trained every time. I just completed another training like 2 weeks ago. We are trained every single time because things changing every time. Refresh your memory. You don't know it all. So you're training the people at least. You can get somebody a job and have no job training. I hope our nation, will come to its senses, man. Thanks for having me. I'm so frustrated.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. Dr. Booty, you want to go before Joe, or you want to hear?
No, let him go.
I've been wanting to go for a long time. When you were on your rant, I was in the back trying to type. I need to drop off, but then the tablet I'm using wasn't allowing me. I said, Mr. C, lead the rant here. And they show it after 11 o'clock on my side. Anyway, let me not prolong the time. Look, it's been a great show. I think it's been, for me personally, a good year. Anytime I have an opportunity to share my limited ideas on what I believe is better for our country, I enjoy that. I think doing it in the midst of all of you, even though some of the people have sacked themselves, like Valley, he won't come back anymore. But at least Mr. Morris sacked himself or re-employed himself, so it's good to have him back. I've got a good new year.
I'm ready, man. To do.
No, I'm happy. I'm excited that the guy is here. I'm excited that he's here, and my 2025, the outlook, like Mr. C was looking for. That's one of the bright spots for me, right? For 2025, I know Mr. Morris will be here because we can't give up on Liberia. Is what I would want to say. We can get frustrated at some point during the President Weah's regime. I stopped criticizing because I thought I ran for there for 11 sit down inside, but we have to keep saying things. We have to keep speaking out because we have the platform to do so, right? And people depend on us, whether we like it or not, to use our platform to speak for them, give the voice to the voiceless. So what we're doing is not wasted. So we shouldn't feel that it is. Our efforts will be appreciated by those who want to appreciate it. But no, I'm going to drop off. It was great. I see you guys in the new year. Happy New Year to all of you. And it's been a great year for me on the show, and I look forward to another great year next year as well.
All right, Joe.
Yes, guys. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Gaiman because for years I tried to be part of this platform. I sent emails out, but nobody, I didn't get in contact with anybody until one day I actually was able to get to Mr. Gaiman. And immediately when I got with him and we spoke, he didn't waste any time. He got me on the platform, and that's how
I told them not to bring you on.
I know that you like people do that kind of stuff. So I owe an allegiance to him on this. But look, guys, Focus on Africa is a very great platform. We come here, I know, because we all care about our country. And it can be frustrating. But for me, I'm willing to come here every time. I know my position when I came on here is not the general rule of thumb. It is not the mainstream. And so it can be uncomfortable at times. But I think it's some of the things that I say, we should try to look at some of them. We can't move forward with the same old system. It is not working. What is so much that we resist? Why can we examine this? Like some of the stuff we are saying, representatives and stuff, they're set up to set their own benefits, pay themselves, give themselves or bonuses. Why do we have this kind of rule? Even if we need to be able to say, okay, look, this one is not working. Let's change it. Let edit this. Let revise this. I think personally, we should disband and abolish the House. It's not needed. I did the math. It's about, Mr. C, it's about almost $600 million in every 6 years that is used to sustain the guys. Are you telling me that they're actually doing anything in Liberia that worth that much money to be given to them? No, it's not worth it. So let's re-examine our system. If we are going to see, because I don't base stuff on hope. Because if you're going to hope, where is the plan that you are hoping on? You can't just hope. Okay, look, this is the plan. We put it together. We're able to achieve this. This is what we intend on carrying out. We hope that everything go well with this plan. But there is no plan, so what are we hoping on? So I'm not basing anything on no hope for 2025. It's going to be the same thing because we have no plan. We are going into 2025 with the same old failed system and setup. So it's not going to work. But look, when I mentioned about the solar farm, Mr. Eastman, some people started to jump immediately. Look at why the solar farm is a bad idea. Eh? They're building that farm for small money because, let me wrap up on this, because power is the main reason for which we really can't do much. Every business you open, we have power. All of a sudden, when you put the cost in, it skyrockets. Because for you to just generate power for yourself, wipe you out. The solar farm that they're 100 million, pretty much 92 or so, it's not even for them to build the storage capacity. That is one of the most important aspects. So they do it and they route it back into the solar grid. So it's only when there is sun and then if they channel it, it's a failure. If you're going to use that much money, you have to be able to build the storage capacity. You want to do that to an area where the electric grid is already functioning well. Then you subsidize it through that means. If you're going to, so with that money, I told you, they can break it up and build 3 very decent hydro. One in the east, in the west, one in central, and one in the southeast. And they can actually power. Okay? But what they're doing over there, my brother, I'm here, I'm telling you, I've looked at it, it will not work. Because the space that you even need for you to even set up a solar farm, and what they're even trying to generate is a small amount of power. So somebody is getting a kickback, somebody's croaking somebody, it's not going to work. So we are going to 2025 with the same failed system and everything. We have to advocate that will look at the policies and the way things are working. Let us bring some stuff back. In the US here, because people all make reference to the US, me, I really don't. But you've been here for the short time that most of us have been here. Man, they're revising the rules and everything and policies on a yearly basis on everything because things are changing. In Liberia, they said we should just leave it, and it's just there. Everything is outdated. It doesn't work. Just like Mr. C, let me close with this. I went to Liberia, they say, oh, you don't use your own people, you're foreigners. I went in and I found a guy. They were working for this guy, the guy that owned the party that died in or somewhere in Maryland that came back.
Oh, the Liberty Party.
COVID.
Cassell.
Yes. I don't know if you label. No, not Bromskin. The other guy.
Cassell.
It's like Cassell.
Cassell. I met this guy at Cassell's project on the Rafi Highway. I talked to him, sound very professional. So okay, I have a project developing an entire neighborhood with everything in it. I came to this guy. I already did the blueprint of the layout on how I wanted to be. I want to give you a job. I brought him to people, introduce him. You know, I chased this guy around for me to even get email from this guy. This is I pay him in advance just to say, look, this is a good token. It's not even part of what I'm going to pay you. I chased this guy around all over the place. Oh, they email, my email is down. Oh, send it to my wife email, send it here. Oh, my WhatsApp. You know, I had to go to Guinea. Guinea is where I link up with a company and some people. And then everything started moving. So it's the same training that you're talking about. So like Mr. C, I'm just enforcing what you said. The nature and the behavior of everybody is the same. And these are the same people that end up in the government. And this guy is working in the private sector. And he have his own business running to do drafting and other stuff. You see that? So that's what we have.
All right, Mr. Gibbon, let number go and you will close us.
Okay. That's my senior man in administration from the UPP. So yeah, it makes sense.
Thank you. So, and talking about UPP, let me correct my young
The
brother,
progressive.
Mr. Gay, quickly. I don't know about the UP of Edward B. and Kessler being older than the UPP. You said 1985. I know the UPP was founded in 1984. We were banned by the PRC, which later became the International Assembly. But that ban was lifted on July 26th of 1985. Right then, we resumed. So let's check that. I'm not sure about UP being on the scene before the UPP. But let me say
I
this.
take that correction.
let me say this, Mr. C, and I want to thank you all. I agree with Mr. Towell. I think you guys are rendering a great service to our people. The opportunity to come here and discuss. Some of the people challenge us, which is good, Mr. Waller and others. Whether we disagree with them or not, but I think they bring a lot of value to the discourse. So I want to thank them. I want to wish everyone a happy New Year. Hopefully, it's going to be better coming, this coming 2025. But let me say this about the government, right? I didn't vote for this government, I'll be honest. But like I've always said, they have won. They're now our government. They serve us. When you come into government, you come to serve, not to be served. We are doing you a favor by giving you that opportunity to serve. You're not doing us any favors. You campaign for this position, you won, the people give it to you. You need to get off your rear end and do the people's job. I have friends in this government, very close friends of mine, who and I were in the trenches from the days Anthony Cassidy and I were in Lane Suit together. I was the vice president when I was on Cuttington. During the days of Wogabi Tapia and all these people. Then I have brothers in arms, Samuel Kofi Woods. They were on the other side, like Jerome said, we were in the UP, but we all understand the struggle of our people. They can't tell me that things are better today, and they know that. But what they're doing is also an indictment, which, of course, unfortunately has been an indictment of the so-called progressive. They represent us. When they leave tomorrow, their judgment, their action will fall on us, all of us. As people are already doing, they are collectively indicting us. And so we would not be quiet. Some of them will call after the show, oh, we were watching last night, some of the stuff. Yeah. Because we're all in it together. If they succeed, I succeed as well. And so we'll continue to hold their feet to the fire. I call on our people to challenge them, just like they did recently. Yes, the response was very, very heavy-handed, but they'll get used to it. I think our people have a responsibility to make this government to perform. If they're not able, let them get out of the way. But right now, what we are seeing in Liberia is way underwhelming. They're underperforming. They're not delivering. And I think they're able. They need to get up and get it done. Tell this president if he doesn't have the money to charter a flight, tell him not to do it. Why would you sit down there and allow that to happen? So we're hoping 2025 will be a better year, but this 2024 is in the dumps of already. They did nothing as far as what they promised us is concerned. Let them go to the report from NAMBO in their assessment up to August, 3%. But thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm happy we're here, and thank everyone who has been watching and joining as well. Let's do it again. Hope 2025 will be better.
Thank you. Jerome?
Yes. I want to address Mr. Wallow and Mr. Valley and those who support the unity government. For 6 years, those who supported President Weah was on here, and we defended. We did the best we could. We didn't hide. Today, I have appealed to Wallow for 1 year. Can't show face, but he always will have a threat. Mr. Valley was here. He ran away, and he's hiding somewhere. And once in a while, he would change his nomenclature, call himself something else. I don't know who he is now. Someday he's Valley, someday he's Samba, and all that stuff. But that's why the Unity Party have no true believers, because they are patch people. I want to say this. the finance minister was on another show, and they asked the finance minister, you are now at 3%. Do you think the government is doing well? He said, yes. He said, the government is doing well. You just can't feel it. He said, when you are in a hole 8 feet and we're bringing you up 2 feet, you will not feel it because you are still in a hole. This is a man who is running our economy, giving us this kind of analogy. So basically what he's saying here is at 3% next year, if we did 4%, then we have succeeded. And then the following year, if we did 5%, we have succeeded because we are doing better than what we did last year. This is the thinking of this man who's supposed to put our economy back on track. This is Gamfoa on Spoon TV 3 weeks ago. And I'm sitting here, I'm saying, you kidding me? So here we are. We are talking about the Millennium Challenge. I was in Liberia when they were negotiating the Millennium Challenge. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and her top team wanted roads to be the central point of the Millennium Challenge. And the United States government, through the MSA, sent me the traffic assessment, the report. How many cars you have in the country, in Grand Bassa, in River G, that requires the roads to be paved all over the country. Give me the traffic assessment. They didn't have it. The United States said, we think for this economy and this government to be stabilized, we want you to bring back the energy. This is how they decided to put the money in the power plant. So for Mr. Waller and these people who don't know the intricacies of the Millennium Challenge, they are asking you to write a plan and bring it. If it doesn't fit their mold, they will tell you this is not where we want to put our money. For instance, Joseph Walker say, I left to travel now, I need a private jet. They will tell you you're on your own. Our immediate need is not private jet. So this is how the Millennium Challenge is written. Mr. Waller, Dr. Waller doesn't know this, but those of us who are into management know that have written these things, this is how it works. So we want to say, let me close on this. This is the HPX here. This is the document here. I don't know if you can see it here. It says here, HPF demand the frame of development. It has made no commitment to Liberia. In fact, it says here in a 2-page letter to the National Bureau of Concession, HPX says out of the case of he wants exclusive access, presenting the project exclusively outside of the government to the Republic of Guinea. They do not want the Republic of Liberia to get involved. They will do it, and they say at the end, it will conform to the transformative opportunity for Joseph Walker's arrest agenda. They had no respect for the Republic of Liberia. So these things, this is fake. This is fake. So for him to come out here and say $5 billion, the folks are telling you they have made no commitment. In fact, they are not dealing with the Liberian government. They will do their own bidding on behalf of the government of Guinea. So ladies and gentlemen, this year was a great year. Mr. Shea, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for every time we needed technical help. You were available even when you were in Liberia. So thank you very much for your work. Mr. Nambe, thank you very much. You bring a wealth of knowledge to our team. Mr. Towers, same thing here. A lot of, when you talk, you bring your own experience and facts, not just what they say, but your own personal, and we appreciate that. Mr. Anthony Gay, in the area that you are, thank you very much for what you bring to the table. Mr. Morris, young man, thank you very much. You have been very bombastic when it comes to the issues because you understand. And when you come out here, it's not just sugarcoating the stuff. And to those who will also be positive, we will be positive when the lights are turned on in Monrovia and all the area. There's no way you can lie and say there's no light. When the waters are on, you can't lie and say the waters are not on. If University of Liberia is open, you can't lie and say the university is closed. If the healthcare workers are working, you can't lie. So yes, when good things are happening, we will be able to say it because there's no way we can lie. Thank you very much. We look forward to another heated, well-debated, well-discussed 2025. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. C.
Happy New Year to everybody, man.
On that note, we come to the year in review here. I focus on Liberia on our program On Point. The nation Liberia belongs to us. Whatever way you see our views, one thing is true, because we want the best for Liberia. That's the only reason we say it the way we see it. If we don't tell ourselves the truth in our own faces, and we tell ourselves lies, then we are not going anywhere. So let the truth be told. For the Bible says, the truth will set you free. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the song that says, we are all Liberians. Bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia